Luciferian consciousness at its highest levels is going to be a state of embodiment. It's going to be a state of being that there's this evolutionary momentum that gets set in motion over time. Some people call this evolutionary momentum the black flame. And what the black flame does is it burns away all of the illusions and it resurfaces these repressed shadow aspects of the self that are holding certain suppressed emotions, and it gives us the opportunity to process those emotions, feel through them, and release them from the body so we can raise our frequency into more so of this Luciferian energetic state of embodiment. So there are people that identify with being a Luciferian, and they follow certain ways of living from books, and there is a philosophy behind it. But Luciferianism is actually much, much deeper than what mainstream occultism promotes. And I'm certainly not discrediting anyone that claims to be a Luciferian, but what I'm saying is Luciferianism and Luciferian consciousness is much, much deeper than the average mainstream occultist is going to be promoting, because this is truly a state of embodiment. And this state of embodiment is fleshed out by going through the darkest shadows of self, by entering the abyss and dying over and over and over and over to be reborn many times, to be reborn able to contain this Luciferian awareness. So once again, at the highest levels that we can think about it, Luciferian consciousness and Luciferianism in general is actually a state of being. Now, before I continue, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to be speaking about Lucifer, because if you want to understand Luciferianism and Luciferian consciousness, then of course you need to understand Lucifer. Now, Lucifer is a symbol of becoming conscious of the unconscious, of accepting our darkness to then be able to embody and to manifest with the light. And what I mean by manifest with the light is this. Light is actually manifestation. It's anything that takes form within the multiverse, and it's anything that takes form within your life. But to create an authentic sense of form, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's financial freedom, you have to go into the darkness, which is associated with the primordial chaos. If you're only focused on the light, then that light is going to be very illusionary and it's not going to be authentic to who you really are. So you need to also have a connection with the primordial chaos. We can even say the primordial womb, the void, that brings all light into manifestation. Lucifer represents descending into the underworld. Lucifer represents going into that shadow space to then come out with a more authentic sense of order that is actually in alignment with your soul's purpose, rather than just being identified with illusions. So like when we look at like New Age communities, there's this emphasis on light. There's this focus on being positive and manifestation and things that are associated with light. But light is never going to produce an authentic fruit if we do not go into the roots of where this light, where this manifestation and form actually comes from. So Lucifer as a symbol and as an archetypal energy represents going into the deep unconscious and going into the primordial chaos that actually gives birth to anything that can be associated with light. Lucifer is also an extraterrestrial entity. And by entity, I mean a grouping of different beings. And you can look at these beings as almost sharing like a hive mind. And these beings, over time, have projected themselves to humanity in different ways. So Lucifer is often associated with the morning star, which is the planet Venus. And when we look in different cultures and different spiritual belief systems, there are different entities that are associated with the planet Venus, with the morning and the evening star. And I believe that these entities, even though they're different personifications of this energetic current, I believe they're connected to what we can call this luciferian, energy within our multiverse. And I believe this energy is very powerful. And I believe this energy is very rooted in the self-development, in the soul evolution of humanity, as well as other life that may be existing in our solar system and our galaxy as well. And I'm sure it even gets deeper than that. It probably extends to a universal and a multiversal level. But I'm sure that's something we can get into another time. And of course, I don't have all the answers for you. I don't know everything. But, if I'm here and I'm explaining things to you, it's because I do know some things. So Lucifer is essentially what a lot of you would understand as an alien. But when most people think alien, they think singular entity. But when we're talking about these gods and goddesses that were worshipped throughout our history as human beings, we're actually talking multiple, we can say, alien entities that come together and they form this group mind or this collective consciousness that will project itself to other beings in our universe and has been projecting itself to humanity in different forms. And once again, I believe we see entities that are in association with the morning and evening star, the planet Venus, for this reason, because these are different masks and different personifications of the same energetic current that I call Lucifer. Lucifer is all about growth and is all about self-development from the lens of primal soul development. And this is why if you build a long-lasting relationship with Lucifer, if you build a serious connection where you're taking yourself serious, you're oftentimes going to be brought into the clip-off. Because Lucifer, even when we're looking at Lucifer from the inverted Christian perspective, there's things that we can still take from it, right? And one of those things is Lucifer's descent into hell. Hell and heaven definitely don't exist in the way that it's often promoted by Christianity, but we can look at hell and heaven as states of consciousness or states of being. And Lucifer brings you into your own inner hell, where all of those different traumas and memories and emotions that you have been suppressing are existing. This is actually what the clip-off is. When we look at the clip-off, there are going to be 10 different spheres. And I like to call these spheres the shells of the clip-off. And when you're opening the spheres to go through clipothic initiation, you're removing the shell that you created around yourself that comes with an identity, a belief system, a persona, a perception, certain ways of doing things and thinking and thought pattern and things of that nature. You created this to show you away from your trauma. And this comes at the major price of not actually being able to be authentic in a way that's in alignment with your soul's purpose and who you really are at a foundational core level, who you really were before you got separated from that during early childhood trauma. So when we're opening the sphere, we're dying to that shell that we created, and we're resurfacing that suppressed trauma so we can take ownership over it, process the emotions that are associated with it, which is what we didn't do when we went through the trauma. And by feeling through those emotions, we're releasing that trauma-based energy from our body and from our energy field. And this gives us the ability to be more of a container for the source energy consciousness that we lost touch with during early childhood trauma. And we kept building all of these different layers between us and that source energy consciousness. So Lucifer, brings you backwards in time, we can even say, to start connecting with these very wounded, very neglected aspects of yourself so you can get to know them, so you can heal them, and you can release the energy that they're holding. When you're going through the clip-off, you're doing this in a pretty intense way to where there's this death energy that comes into your life, and it starts dissolving the artificial structures in your life and the artificial structures within yourself so you can get to the root of what you are and be more so of an open channel for the source energy consciousness. But when you're doing this, working with the energy of Lucifer, Lucifer being what we can call a source entity, this is also going to bring you into being a container for Luciferian consciousness as well. Luciferian consciousness is very powerful, and what that simply means is you're downloading the energy of Lucifer through your nervous system into your body and into your energetic field, and then you're living your life with the energy of Lucifer inside of you, with the energy of Lucifer coursing through your being. And there are a lot of evolutionary benefits that come from this. Now, the highest levels of clipothic initiation, let me say it like this, some of the highest levels of initiating through the clip-off, not the highest level, but some of the highest levels, we can call this the crowning of Lucifer, or this is where the crowning of Lucifer actually happens. So when you initiate through all 10 spheres, now your nervous system is very sensitized, and you have all this clipothic energy, all this dark energy that's flowing through your being. And the last sphere on the clipothic tree is going to be known as Thaumael, which is associated with our root chakra. So when you start opening that chakra up, or activating that chakra from the lens of clipothic initiation, and you process and integrate the experiences that come with working with Thaumael, this is when the crowning of Lucifer takes place. And this represents that Luciferian consciousness really washing over your being and coming into your energetic field. Whenever you're working with any spirit, whether it's Archangel Michael, whether it's Santa Morte, whether it's some other entity that you're working with, the highest degrees of working with that being are going to be a transfer of energy from them to you in the form of a download that leads you to embodying the essence of that energy within your physical being, and also on a deeper, subtle, energetic level as well. Now, when it comes to Lucifer, there's going to be a process of how that's usually going to take place for a person, And this is why if you work with Lucifer for long enough, you will most likely eventually get led to the clip-off, because there's things that need to take place inside of you. There's changes and shifts that need to be initiated for you to, even on a nervous system level, be able to hold that higher density or higher frequency energy in your physical body. To go through something like the crowning of Lucifer and to not adequately be prepared by the process that I'm speaking about would probably be very dangerous. And to be honest, I don't even think it would be possible, because the nervous system needs to go through the proper upgrade process in order to even hold the higher density energy of, that Luciferian current of energy. So Lucifer will often, bring people into clipothic initiation so they can get in touch with their primal roots, while also getting in touch with these very wounded parts of the self and these very wounded parts of the inner child, so they can release any suppressed negative energies that would actually act as an interfering frequency between them and working with Lucifer and integrating that Luciferian consciousness into the physical body. The clip-off is our primal roots on a soul level and as well as a species. And it's also the primal roots of our solar system. And I believe that Lucifer is a being that has a lot of influence over the development of all souls in our solar system. So Lucifer brings you into this primal form of self-development so you can actually have this deeper understanding of yourself and a deeper understanding of your soul's origin. And so you can go through the proper process of actually preparing yourself to be, we can say, an open channel for Luciferian consciousness. And this channel happens on a nervous system level. It happens on a physical body level. But if you have all these different traumas that are stored in your body, that's going to be an interfering frequency, and you're not actually going to be able to authentically embody that Luciferian consciousness. So real Luciferian consciousness is always going to be activated by going through the shadows, by going through the darkness, and by connecting with our roots through the medium of the entity that we call Lucifer. It's not something that you can embody just by reading a book or just by adopting a philosophy or a belief system. And I'm not discrediting, any authors or anything like that, or, people that consider themselves to be Luciferians. There's actually an author that I gained a lot of value from in the beginning of me kind of finding myself spiritually. This author's name is Michael Ford, and I gained a lot of value from his books when I wasn't really as psychic as I am today, and I was still figuring a lot of things out within myself. But I also recognize that Luciferianism and Luciferian consciousness in general is much more than just picking up a book and reading it or adopting a belief system and a philosophy. Real Luciferian consciousness comes from a real connection with the energy of Lucifer, and there's a process to establishing this connection. We have to connect with our primal roots so we can become a container for this energy, which then begins to operate in our life in a very profound way as a result of us opening ourselves up to this energy in this way.